Debt ceiling talks go on and on and on and on. And of course, we also have the Fed's minutes today. And all of those things might be affecting the stock market, or maybe they're not. But they certainly gives plenty of opportunity for headlines and for politicians to make stands. Anyway, we're going to get into all that today and much more. We're going to be talking about how Tesla did yesterday and today, as it went back to swinging wildly like in the old days. This is Randy Kirk. If you like the content, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit notify. We got lots and lots of interviews coming up the next few days. And and then, of course, there's always Patreon. So we are 2 days away from the PCE, the personal consumption expenditure gauge. That is commonly referred to as the Fed's favorite inflation index. Now, I'm inclined to think that the market is more nervous about that index reading on Friday than it is anything to do with the debt ceiling or the Fed minutes. And we'll talk about both of those here in just a second. So the deadlock that could cause the US government to default, well, if that happened, that'd be a mess. And, we've lived through it. I think twice we've actually had this happen in very contentious times. I have taken a very deep dive into the discussions that are going on between the president and the Republicans. Everything that I'm seeing in my deep dive would suggest that these talks are going pretty darn well. In fact, I think there's every reason to believe that this will be solved without any problem at all. Both sides seem to be willing to concede and move towards one another. And, it looks like a negotiation. This is kind of shocking in the current environment, but you've got two really old guys who've been hanging around each other forever that are heading up these discussions. So it may be that they just understand each other. Anyway, I'm not considering this to be an issue at all, except as I mentioned, for content creators to get headlines that look like clickbait when they're like, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end. And of course, for politicians to grandstand and to create all kinds of reasons why folks should vote for them, because if only those folks were in office, things would be different. Okay, I don't think that's going to be an issue. The Fed minutes on the other side of the coin, well, those were about as there wasn't much in them that we didn't know. Now, you could say there was a little bit of nuance. So the nuance would be that a few of the guys are hawkish and a few of the presidents are more dovish. And some of them are saying that we need more hikes, and some of them are saying we should be done for a while. And none of them are talking about any kind of a lowering of interest rates later this year. So those are the nuances that we got. I don't think that moved the market at all. It could be that the fight in Washington over raising the debt ceiling is causing the market to be skittish and uncertain, and it hates uncertainty, and all those things could be true. But if we look over here at the inflation situation, what we see is that oil is continuing upward. Now, it's still in the lower range of its the 68 to 82 range. Well, it's sitting around 72, 73. So it's at the lower end, but it has been inching up. Today, it's being said that the supply in the United States is lower than it was. And so that's why the costs are going up. I don't know. Who knows? Again, people have to come up with reasons in order to create their headlines. So, but I like it being down on the lower end. So I'm not sure whether that's affecting the stock market. Bond yields are moving upward. That's going to cause increased prices. People are going to have to spend more money for financing. And so that adds to inflation, actually, even though it may cause markets to shrink. In other words, people can't buy as much stuff. Companies can't buy as much stuff. So we got both of those things going on simultaneously with regard to the bond market, but the bond market has been going up smartly the last few days. That's a little bit unnerving. And the inversion continues to be really, really big. Now, I did take a quick look at Truflation again, because as I mentioned the other day, now Truflation, for those of you who don't normally watch the channel, Truflation is a independent third-party inflation gauge tool that I think is pretty darn good. I've been watching it for a while now, and it tends to be ahead of what's going to be shown by the CPI and the PPI. It tends to be learning things earlier, and then later on, those follow what's been happening on Truflation. So Truflation seems to be a little closer to what's happening today, as opposed to looking at things in the rear view mirror. Well, Truflation has dropped under 3%, and it's been dropping rapidly over the last 5 weeks. So it's sitting just under 3%. That looks like really good news to me. And the things that are dropping are housing prices, transportation. So in other words, gas and oil prices, and foods and drinks, along with health. So these are major categories, all dropping nicely. So this could be very, very good news. That the stock market probably isn't watching Truflation, though. They want to see what happens this Friday when the PCE comes out, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index. All right, so let's change the subject now to Tesla. They have been trading in big swings the last couple of days. This could be options related, but more likely, I think what we're looking at is a return to a more normal Tesla stock. Now that all of the negative stuff is kind of behind us, which I spent a lot of time talking about in this morning's video and over the weekend. But if you didn't look at this morning's video, you need to go back and look at this morning's video. A lot of stuff on there you need to see. And also, one of the main topics is Tesla is now poised to just keep moving up. Yes, will this be a rocky road? Oh, up and down? Yes, of course. Because what happens when Tesla's headed up? The day traders, the option traders, they're all getting involved. They're trying to, grab the bottoms and then run it up, wait for 3, 4, 5% to go up and then sell out and wait for it to drop too. And of course, this happens. This technical action takes place because why? Because all these technicians are doing it simultaneously. And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The problem with technical trading is that there's another group of folks that are saying, well, I understand technical trading, so I'm going to get ahead of it. Well, if you try to get ahead of it, then that throws off the technical trading. So it can never be a perfect world. I don't do technical trading except in the broadest sense. I do see certain places, certain marks. Right now, the next mark I'm looking at, well, there's the 200. 200 is going to be hard to get across only because it's an even number. And this is just fact. Even numbers tend to be difficult for any stock to get through, going up and even going down. So they become like natural barriers. But then the next barrier after that is around 217. And after that, it could go much higher. So I would expect that to be up and down with people trying to catch the lows and catch the highs and trade it on a daily or, over a few days basis. A lot of folks doing that with Tesla. I'm still saying I have never met anybody that made more money in a year on Tesla. I made 33 times my investment back in, I think that was 2020. It was a very small investment, a couple of grand, but I made 60-something thousand dollars by doing that kind of in and out day trading. So I would say the risk is off now on Tesla. The risk is still on in the market, although it may be lessening. And that is, let the games begin, because while the underpinning is going to be upward, we're going to see all of this trading. Now, the trading is also, other stocks you can look at that will be acting a lot the same would be all the Cathie Wood thing, all the things that Cathie Wood, not all of the ones she follows, but a lot of the ones. So this might be our last look at the 170s for Tesla. That would be my guess. Unless there's really bad news in the PCE on Friday, I think this could be our last look at the 170s. All right. Let's see. Big news that I put in the this morning's video. I don't know why nobody mentioned it in the comments. I'm just flabbergasted there was not one comment, at least that I've seen so far. Although there's been some comments on Twitter. There's kind of a thread going now on Twitter about this. Elon Musk says there will be a forthcoming announcement regarding the AI division of X. X is the corporation that owns Twitter. Okay, so there will be an announcement with regard to X and with regard to the division, the second division that he's now set up. And the second division is Truth AI. And right now, a lot of Tesla investors were sad because they thought, gee whiz, he's going to put all of his knowledge, information, whatever he's been able to gain, all into Truth AI under X, and all the profits that will be made in this AI division will go to X. Well, he said the other day, hey, take a look at what's happening with ChatGPT and Microsoft. They have a relationship. They have a deal. They put a deal together. So he's basically saying, look, we're going to do the same kind of deal between X and Tesla, some kind of deal where both are going to benefit. Why this isn't big news? Why everybody isn't talking about this? I can't figure out. I mean, AI is the big play right now. And if Tesla's also going to be part of a big play like Microsoft and ChatGPT and Bing and all the rest of them, then it's going to be a big thing. And what he's talking about is Tesla being part of the search / responsive language stuff that's going on in these other areas. So in the comments below, tell me, do you think this is a big deal? I mean, I know there's no announcement yet, but he said there will be an announcement, and he basically told us what the announcement is going to be, except the details. Okay. Anyway, I don't know, maybe there will be more implications to that later. I also talked about an idea that I had, and there was no comments about this either. So this idea I have is that Dojo is going to be something that every man can use. So just like we went from a place where most human beings didn't care about search to where people have their phone next to them on the couch while they're watching a movie, looking up the names of the actors and what they've been, other things they've been in, or, you know, and who knows the name of the bird that they might have seen in the movie. I mean, all of a sudden we're a search dependent, you know, the whole world is search dependent. We might in the future be learning dependent. We might be interested. A lot of consumers might be interested in being able to put in their own set of content, their own set of data, and then be able to turn loose a learning model that would be set up as an app, something simple where you just push A, B, C, or X or whatever, and all of a sudden it gives you your own set of learned information that you can turn around and sell or use for your business. I mean, it's staggering to think about what that might look like if you and I all of a sudden have access to this through something on our laptop, which Elon said back at AI Day 1 or 2, I can't remember which now, he said this will be plug and play. You will take your laptop and plug it into Dojo and you will have access. At the time, I'm thinking, well, okay, the nerds, you know, the people that are like twice as smart as I am about all this stuff, they will go crazy because they have access to being able to grab data, put in their own data, and then have this massive computer be able to do some compute. Now I'm thinking, no, this is going to be you and me, and we're going to have applications for this as well. It's mind-numbing to think about what could happen out of that. Anyway, a couple of last things here. Some were worried that this poll showing that Tesla dropped in the rankings of the top 100 most reliable, you know, brands was somehow related to Elon taking political positions and blah, 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 blah. This has been going on for some time now. Guess what? The stock did not move in any way, shape, or form based on that poll. Others have been reporting that the poll information was even a little sketchy because they used half as many people to take this poll as they usually do. So you got to be wondering what's going on with that. And to take a 50-point drop, if I saw a company like Tesla take a 50-point drop in a poll that I was running, and by the way, I'm a social psych undergrad and know a lot about statistics and a lot about doing polls, I would say we need to rerun the poll. That's not likely that they would drop 50 places, and something might be wrong with the data that we gathered. Anyway, it didn't affect the stock. And by the way, there was a poll just 3 days before, I believe, that was basically showing the opposite, that the brand loyalty for Tesla is up significantly over the last year. So I'm sorry, this is not something that I'm going to be terribly worried about. Anyway, listen, the Tesla tide has turned. And while I think the road is going to be bumpy, I would expect a return to the day when the fundamentals were all important and the go-go folks were involved, and we'll just start pushing forward, although it will look like this because of options and because of day traders. So if this is interesting or entertaining, or if it caused you to think for a minute and think of good things, then please hit the like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and join Patreon. It's been great talking to you.